Hey guys, Natalie Fleming here again. If you caught our video on drills to do when breaking down the swing, you heard me say that we're going to do a whole video on what our lower body does during the swing. So we're going to start by talking about what our lower body should do, and then we're going to discuss some drills you can do to make that happen. So when we get in our stance, we want to think our feet should be even, okay? So whenever I say that, both feet should be the same distance from the plate, not standing open or not standing closed, okay? Then the other thing, our feet, we want to think not facing outward and not facing in. So we just want our toes facing straight ahead, okay? So then from here, we want to think when we are in our stance, we want our weight to be balanced 50-50, okay? So then from here, when we go to toe touch, like we talked about in the other videos, we want our weight to be slightly forward. So we want to think about 60% weight on our front leg and about 40% on our back leg. So when we land at toe touch, we still want both of our feet facing straight ahead. So we want to make sure when we land here, we're not opening up at all yet. So think our hips are still closed, not opening too fast. So if we let our hips open too fast, we lose power. So if you know me and I've taught you hitting, you know that I believe all of our power, the majority of our power comes from our hips and our lower body exploding throughout the swing, okay? So once we've landed at toe touch, we are still in this loaded position. So then from here, we'll think our hips and our hands go together. So whenever we say that, once our hip starts to go, we'll think the back leg drives forward and out slightly, and our front leg, we push straight. So you'll see that back leg will drive forward, and as it's driving forward, you'll be pushing off the front leg. So then with the back foot stepping out slightly, that's just gonna help you with your balance. So you'll see a lot of hitters when they swing, they step, their foot actually goes that direction, or it stays in line with, see, I'm already losing my balance, or it stays in line with the foot in front of you, and it causes you to fall over the plate or to the side or wherever it might be, okay? If you let that back foot step out just a little bit, it will help with your balance, but then it also gives you room to get that back hip all the way throughout your swing. Okay, so then whenever you finish your swing, your lower body now should be 50-50 balance again. So think 50% of that weight back up on that front leg, 50% of that weight on your front leg, and then on your back leg. So now here, we should think when we have finished our swing, our back leg should be down and bent and our front leg should be locked out straight. Okay, and then also when you're in that position, you should almost be able to draw a straight line from your knee to your shoulder here, okay? So we don't want to be leaning way back and we don't want to be leaning way forward. Okay, so now a couple drills that you can do to work on the lower body in your swing. So a big one that I always do with kids is I say it's stance, toe touch, go. So it's three steps. So when you do this, I want you to find in your house, if you have hardwood floor or tile floor, find lines, or if you don't have the hardwood floor or tile floor like here, okay, I took some bands and laid on the ground. When we're doing our lessons, we actually draw chalk on the ground. So you can take chalk, you can take tape, you can take string, whatever you can find to draw yourself some lines. So you want one line behind your back foot, okay, right up against the back side of your back foot. And then you want a long line in front of your feet here. Okay, so now the three steps, remember I said, is stance. So we're getting into a stance. Okay, setting our feet up even, both feet touching this front line. Then we're going to tell ourselves, go to toe touch. And when we land at toe touch, both feet are still touching this line. And then you're going to say go, okay? And when you tell yourself go, you're going to think drive your back leg forward and out slightly and push off your front leg. So you'll end up being here, okay? So you want to try to land in this position, okay? And you can even do this. You don't even have to hold a bat. When I make the kids that we work with do this at home, I tell them don't do it with a bat to start. So we'll be here, go to toe touch, and then go. Hold this position. And I always say hold each position for about 3 seconds. That way you can feel where you should be. So we're holding that stance. Hold that toe touch position. And then once you go, hold this position. The more you sit here and you hold that position, the more it's just going to become natural. Okay, and then I tell our kids do that 100 times every single night at home for a week, and then they'll come back to hit with me the next week and they'll have that fixed. So if you're on yourself about that, you'll fix your legs and you will see you will have tremendously more power throughout your swing. Okay, so the next drill. We're gonna start with the bat. My dad loves this drill. He does this drill a ton with kids. Just wait till you meet him, he's awesome. Okay, so you will start with the bat on your hips. Hold in here, just both hands on top of the bat. Then from here, okay, you'll get into your stance position. Then you'll tell yourself, go to toe touch. And then from here, you're gonna think, drive your back hip here, all the way around like you were going to contact. So now you see my bat is facing straight in front of me, straight to the pitcher. And I got my hips all the way through. So you see my bat starts facing the tee. Then whenever I go and I drive my back leg, from here, the bat rotates all the way facing the pitcher. So that means I got my hip all the way through. So our hip's not leaking back this direction. So again, we're getting that hip all the way through. So that way we're getting all of our power through our lower body as we swing. Again, you can do that over and over as many times as you want. So you can just feel that back hip, that back leg drive. But then again, think with that, as you're driving that back leg, you're pushing off the front leg. So the front leg is just as important as the back leg. That front leg is what, when you are driving that back leg, thanks from here, when you're pushing off that front leg, it's what's driving you down and making you sit low into that back leg. So we want to think that back knee is almost parallel with the ground. That's how much you want to drive it down, okay? You can drive that back leg forward, but shift up. So if we're here, you see how that raises our body throughout our swing? So if we do that, we'll start swinging and topping all the balls. And again, we'll get those weak ground balls. So that's why we want to think stay down. So driving that back knee down and pushing off that front leg. Okay, so now third drill we can do. You can take a bucket or a helmet, either one. So right behind, get in your stance, and then set the bucket right behind your back foot, okay? So and then from here, again, you can do this with your bat or you can do it without your bat. You'll get into your stance, and then you can go to toe touch and pause. And then when you actually swing, you'll think that back foot drives forward and away from the bucket. Okay, so we don't want to hit the bucket. So we're thinking drive forward, pushing off that front leg, landing in this good, finish, strong position, okay? So if we stay back and we're not driving forward throughout our swing, we're gonna end up kicking the bucket. Okay, do you see how that's pulling us back? Okay, so we wanna think throughout our swing, we wanna think everything is driving forward, okay? So this should look here in the stance, back foot is literally touching the bucket here. Go to toe touch, and then you'll think swing. When you swing, drive that back foot forward as you're pushing off the front leg. So we'll be here again, landing in that low, strong position with that back leg, pushing off the front leg. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.